Warning, warning. Only talented and worldly people are educated in our school in Quebec. Before 1964, this climb will be unattested. Since 1964, the Quebec creates the Ministry of the Education. These creations provide a free or low cost school for all the student in Quebec wants to study. Since that day, a private society has grown up. This private society names the private school. The private sectors of the educations and the private schools grown ups in or with her cash, with her money. This need to change. The Quebec should stop funding for the private school. According to Pierre Jury, a journalist who interviewed the Ministry of the Education in 2008, the private sector costs over than $300 million of the $6 billion according to the Educate semester. At first you will say it's not a lot of money, but if I said to you that it's a small proportion of students who study at the private sectors. 20% of the students study in the private sector. So the $300 million are according for 20% of people of student. That's a lot of money for a small proportion. If the Quebec stopped to fund the private schools, the education systems undoubtedly will have a positive impact. Why will we have two system of education when we can have one perfect ones? By example, we know the public and the private school are not perfect, far from perfect. So we need to change. We need to make change around it. The public schools, by example, brings the $300 million I said before for rebuild the systems. So the public school will be more positive, more good for all the students in Quebec. According to Stéphane Vigneault, the school movement coordinators together. It's called Togethers. It's positively good to stop funding the private schools. Among other things, Mr. Vigneault prompts to ask herself how it is practical to have two systems when we can have one perfect, like I said before. It's much easier to improve one thing of two things. So we need to improve our public systems. In conclusions, the states must hack the education system. The states must stop funding the private education systems because this is a lot of money for a small proportion. Also, if we want to have a perfect education system, we need to make change on it. So the private sectors needs to be abolished. The private school should finance themselves to stop the contribution of the government. In 1971, Charlie Chaplin said, "All children have genius. The whole thing is to make it appear." So what he wants to say, this quote from Charlie Chaplin wants to say, all the children were intelligent. We only need to know how to stimulate disintelligence. To finish, in other words, intelligence does not come with luck or social call. Intelligence comes from wanting and from how we stimulate our nervous neuron. A child attend a public school or private is not necessarily important. It is enough to define the right method to stimulate their intelligence. So we don't need to go in private school for being intelligent.